Okay, so are you ready to really like dive deep into the world of classical saxophone?
I am.
Great, me too.
Yeah.
Today, we are going to be talking about the career of Timothy McAllister, a true musical innovator.
Absolutely.
And you know, you might be thinking saxophone classical music, like what?
Right.
But trust me, this is way more exciting than you might think.
Way more.
Yeah, we're going to be unpacking a career filled with Grammy wins, hundreds of world premieres,
Wow.
and really just like a dedication to pushing the boundaries of what this instrument can do.
Yeah. It's what's fascinating about McAllister is that he hasn't just mastered the saxophone.
Right.
He's elevated it to a whole new level in the world of classical music.
Right.
And we're going to explore how he's done that through his collaborations, his teaching, and his relentless championing of new music.
I mean, he made his solo debut at 16
Wow.
with the Houston Civic Symphony.
Yeah.
That's not exactly a garage band, right?
No.
What does it tell us about his early talent and the kind of support he must have had?
It definitely suggests a prodigious talent, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
But you're right. It also highlights the importance of a nurturing environment.
Right.
We know McAllister grew up in Lansing, Michigan, in a musical family,
Right.
which likely provided a strong foundation.
Yeah.
But early talent alone doesn't guarantee this kind of success.
No, it doesn't. And that brings us to Interlochen Center for the Arts, where McAllister studied as a teenager.
Yes.
I imagine that was a pretty formative experience, especially for someone so young.
Oh, absolutely.
And already so talented.
Interlochen is known for its intense focus on the arts and rigorous training.
Yeah.
Imagine being surrounded by other young, passionate artists
Right.
pushing each other to excel.
Yeah.
It's a real incubator for talent.
Wow.
And for McAllister, studying with John Sampin, there was a pivotal experience.
Yeah, Sampin himself was a student of the legendary French saxophonist Marcel Mule.
Wow.
So you can see a direct lineage of some of the greatest saxophone minds being passed down.
Right, lineage, yeah.
Yeah. But then McAllister goes on to the University of Michigan,
Right.
and that's where things really take off.
Yeah.
What was it about his time at Michigan that catapulted him to the next level?
Well, at the University of Michigan, McAllister studied with Donald Cinta,
Right.
a true icon in the saxophone world.
Yeah.
Now, Cinta wasn't just about technical brilliance, though he certainly possessed that.
Right.
He was also renowned for his ability to bring out the inherent musicality of the saxophone,
Mm-hmm.
its potential for emotional depth and expression. And I think you can hear Cinta's influence in McAllister's playing.
Right.
It goes beyond just hitting the notes.
Yeah.
There's a real soulfulness there.
It's fascinating to think about how these mentors shaped his approach.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Cinta, right?
No.
He also worked with conductor H. Robert Reynolds,
Right.
who has a reputation for championing contemporary composers.
Exactly. Reynolds opened McAllister's eyes to a world of music that pushed boundaries and challenged conventions. Studying with these two figures, both masters in their respective fields,
Right.
gave him the tools and the vision to become the artist he is today.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, he didn't just attend Michigan.
Right.
He earned 3 degrees there.
3 degrees.
That speaks to a certain level of commitment
Wow.
and a drive to really master his craft.
That's impressive. So we've got this incredibly talented young musician,
Right.
nurtured by a supportive family, honed by prestigious training, and guided by legendary mentors.
Yeah,
It seems like the perfect recipe for success.
it does.
But what I find truly remarkable is that McAllister didn't just settle for a traditional career path.
Yeah.
He actively sought out ways to redefine what it meant to be a classical saxophonist, particularly through his championing of contemporary music.
That's where things get really interesting.
Right.
His career took a major leap forward when he premiered John Adams' Saxophone Concerto.
Wow.
Now, we're not talking about just any composer here. John Adams is a Pulitzer Prize and Grammy Award winner,
Yeah.
a giant in contemporary music.
I mean,
And he wrote this concerto specifically for McAllister.
that's got to be an incredible feeling as a musician to have a composer of that stature recognize your talent
Oh, yeah.
and create something specifically for you.
Absolutely.
I can only imagine the pressure of performing a world premiere,
Right.
especially by someone like John Adams.
Oh, my gosh.
But clearly McAllister rose to the occasion
he did.
because that performance put him on the international map.
It absolutely did. And it's not just the Adams Concerto.
Right.
McAllister has premiered over 250 new works
Wow.
by composers like Gunther Schuller, Libby Larsen, and Stephen Mackey.
Okay.
He's actively seeking out these collaborations,
Yeah.
pushing composers to think differently about the saxophone and what it can do.
So he's not just playing the music, he's shaping the future of the instrument itself.
Precisely. And that, I think, is what sets him apart.
Right.
He's not just a virtuoso performer. He's a visionary. He's expanding our understanding of what the saxophone can be in the world of classical music.
Yeah. It's amazing. It is. I mean, incredible. It's amazing to think about like the sheer volume of new music that he's brought to life.
It is.
But it's not just about quantity, right? It's about the quality of these collaborations and how they're pushing the boundaries of what we even consider classical saxophone.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of a piece that really exemplifies McAllister's innovative approach?
Absolutely. Take, for instance, Electric Counterpoint by Steve Reich.
Okay.
It's a minimalist masterpiece, originally written for multiple pre-recorded electric guitars and live electric bass.
Wow.
But McAllister saw its potential for the saxophone.
Okay.
He adapted it for solo saxophone and multi-tracked recordings of himself.
Wow.
Creating this intricate and hypnotic sonic landscape. It's a perfect example of how McAllister takes existing works and reimagines them for the saxophone, expanding both the instrument's repertoire and our understanding of its capabilities.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about the technical skill required to pull something like that off.
Oh, yeah.
You're not just playing one line. You're essentially creating an entire ensemble with just your saxophone.
Exactly. It requires incredible precision breath control.
Yeah.
And an understanding of layering and texture.
Wow.
But beyond the technical aspects, there's a real artistry in how McAllister shapes the sound and creates a sense of space and movement within the music.
And speaking of creating space, let's talk about his work with major orchestras, like Berlin Philharmonic and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. These aren't exactly ensembles known for featuring the saxophone. How has he navigated those spaces?
It's a testament to his artistry and his persistence. He's not waiting for the classical music world to embrace the saxophone. He's actively demonstrating its value and versatility. Think about the challenges of integrating a saxophone into a traditional orchestral setting. You got to blend with the other instruments, but also stand out and showcase the unique qualities of the saxophone. It requires a deep understanding of orchestral textures and a willingness to collaborate and find a balance.
It's almost as if he's challenging the classical music establishment, saying, hey, you might not expect a saxophone here, but listen to what it can do.
Exactly.
And it seems like the world is listening.
They are.
Judging by his Grammy win. For the album City Noir with the St. Louis Symphony.
Absolutely. That Grammy win is a major accomplishment. And it speaks to the impact McAllister is having on the music world. City Noir itself is a fascinating work. It's a saxophone concerto inspired by the gritty atmosphere of 1940s Los Angeles film noir.
Wow.
The music evokes this sense of mystery, danger, and urban loneliness.
Wow.
And McAllister's playing is both virtuosic and deeply expressive. It's a perfect example of how he can take a seemingly unconventional concept and turn it into a captivating musical experience.
And it's not just City Noir. We should also mention his work on albums like John Adams, City Noir, Saxophone Concerto, and The Fifth Century with The Crossing and the Prism Quartet. Both Grammy winners as well.
Absolutely.
He's got a serious track record of success.
He does.
But what I find particularly impressive is that while achieving all of this, he's also maintained a dedicated teaching career. Currently as a professor at the University of Michigan. How does he manage to balance performing at the highest level with nurturing the next generation of saxophonists?
It's clear that teaching is a true passion for him. Not just an obligation. He's not just passing on technical skills. He's instilling in his students a love for music, a curiosity, and a desire to explore the full potential of the saxophone.
You know, I read somewhere that McAllister often encourages his students to go beyond the traditional classical repertoire and delve into other genres, like jazz and world music.
Yes, he does.
He even incorporates improvisation into his teaching, which is not something you typically find in classical music education.
That's a fantastic point. It speaks to his belief that music is a living, breathing art form. Constantly evolving and drawing inspiration from different sources. He's not just training technically proficient saxophonists. He's fostering well-rounded musicians who can think creatively and push the boundaries of their art.
And his influence extends far beyond the University of Michigan.
It does.
He teaches at Interlochen each summer, returning to his roots.
Right.
And he's also involved with prestigious programs like the Impulse Saxophone Institute, the Arosa Music Course in Switzerland, and the Orford Music Academy in Canada.
Yes.
Wow.
His master classes and clinics are in high demand all over the world,
Yeah.
drawing aspiring saxophonists eager to learn from this master.
Right.
He even served as co-director of the Institute for New Music.
Wow.
And a saxophone professor at Northwestern University's Bienen School of Music.
Okay.
So we're talking about a global impact.
Yeah.
Not just within academia,
Right.
but across the entire music world.
It's incredible to think about the ripple effect he's creating.
Yeah.
Influencing not just individual musicians, but shaping the future of the saxophone as a whole.
He's certainly a driving force.
Right.
But it's not just about his individual impact.
Right.
It's about the community he's fostering.
Uh-huh.
A network of musicians who share his passion for pushing the boundaries of what the saxophone can do.
Right.
And this brings us to the Prism Quartet,
Okay.
of which McAllister is a founding member.
Right.
This ensemble is truly dedicated to exploring new music for saxophone quartet,
Yeah.
commissioning and premiering works by some of today's most exciting composers.
So while he's conquering the world of solo and orchestral performance, he's also actively involved in the chamber music scene,
Yes.
further expanding the possibilities of the saxophone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Prism Quartet's repertoire is incredibly diverse,
Yeah.
ranging from minimalist pieces to jazz-influenced works to avant-garde compositions that challenge our very definition of music.
Wow.
They're not afraid to take risks, to experiment,
Right.
and
Yeah.
to create something truly unique and unforgettable.
You know, listening to you describe all of this, it strikes me that McAllister isn't just a musician.
Right.
He's almost like a musical entrepreneur.
Yes.
He's not just waiting for opportunities to come his way. He's actively creating them,
He is.
building a platform for the saxophone and for new music in general.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
He's a true innovator, constantly seeking new avenues for expression
Right.
and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
But it's not just about ambition or career advancement.
Wow.
It's clear that McAllister is driven by a genuine love for the saxophone and a belief in its potential to connect with audiences on a profound level.
Absolutely.
He often talks about the saxophone's limitless potential.
He does.
And I'm curious to hear more about what he means by that.
Yeah.
What is his vision for the future of the instrument?
Yeah.
Where does he see it going in the years to come?
Well, he envisions a future where the saxophone is no longer relegated to the sidelines of the classical music world,
Right.
where it's not just a novelty or an afterthought.
Yeah.
He sees it as an instrument capable of expressing the full range of human emotions,
Right.
just like the violin or the piano.
Uh-huh.
He wants to see it featured more prominently in solo chamber
Yeah.
and orchestral settings, with a repertoire that reflects its versatility and expressive power.
It's an exciting vision.
It is
One that breaks free from the traditional hierarchies and
Right.
preconceptions about instruments and genres.
precisely. McAllister believes that music should be about the power of expression,
Yeah.
not about arbitrary categories or limitations.
Right.
And I think that's what makes his work so compelling.
Right.
It's a reminder that music is a living, evolving art form.
Yeah.
And it's up to artists like McAllister to push the boundaries and explore new possibilities.
It's inspiring to hear someone so passionate and dedicated to their craft.
It is.
But before we get too carried away, I want to shift gears slightly
Okay.
and talk about McAllister's teaching philosophy.
Sure.
What sets his approach apart?
Right.
And what are some key takeaways for aspiring musicians, whether they play the saxophone or any other instrument?
What's fascinating about McAllister's teaching is that he emphasizes a holistic approach to musicianship.
Okay.
He believes that technical proficiency is essential.
Yeah.
Of course. But it's only one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
He stresses the importance of developing musicality, creativity,
Mhm.
and a deep understanding of the music you're playing.
So it's not just about playing the notes correctly.
Right.
It's about understanding the context, the emotion, the story behind the music.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And he encourages his students to be active listeners,
Uh-huh.
to analyze the music they're playing,
Right.
and to think critically about their own interpretations.
Yeah.
He wants them to develop their own voice, their own unique style,
Mm-hmm.
rather than simply imitating others.
It sounds like he's really trying to cultivate well-rounded musicians
He is.
who can think for themselves and bring their own personality and perspective to their music making.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he encourages them to be lifelong learners.
Yeah.
To constantly explore new musical styles and ideas, and to never stop growing as artists.
Right.
He believes that music is a journey of discovery.
Yeah.
Both for the performer and the listener.
Right.
And he wants his students to embrace that journey with passion and curiosity.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Music as a journey of discovery. It's a beautiful way to think about it.
It is.
And it makes me think about the role of the audience in all of this. How does McAllister view the relationship between performer and listener? What does he hope to achieve through his music?
McAllister believes that music has the power to connect with people on a deep emotional level.
Yeah.
To transcend language and cultural barriers, and to create a shared experience of beauty and wonder.
Right.
He sees the performer as a conduit.
Yeah.
A storyteller who uses music to convey emotions, ideas, and narratives.
Right.
And he views the audience as an active participant in this process, bringing their own experiences and interpretations to the music.
It's not just about passive listening.
No.
It's about engaging with the music, allowing it to move you,
Yeah.
to challenge you, to inspire you.
Precisely. McAllister believes that music has the power to transform us,
Right.
to open our minds and hearts to new possibilities, and to connect us to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what he strives to achieve through his own performances and through his teaching.
Yeah.
To create a space where music can touch people's lives and make a difference in the world.
That's a powerful vision. And it speaks to the transformative power of music.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder about the broader impact of McAllister's work.
Yeah.
How is he influencing the world of music beyond his own performances and teaching?
Right.
What kind of legacy is he building?
Well, I think it's safe to say that McAllister is leaving an indelible mark on the world of music. He's not only expanding the repertoire for the saxophone through his collaborations with composers and his own arrangements and transcriptions, but he's also inspiring a new generation of saxophonists to think differently about the instrument and its possibilities.
He's challenging the traditional boundaries of classical music.
He is.
Demonstrating that the saxophone can be just as expressive and versatile as any other instrument.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's doing it with such passion, integrity, and artistry that it's impossible not to be inspired by his work.
Yeah.
He's a true trailblazer, a visionary who's shaping the future of music.
Okay. We're going to shift gears again slightly.
Okay.
And talk about something that I find truly fascinating about McAllister's career.
Yeah.
His almost symbiotic relationship with new music.
Right.
It's one thing to be a virtuoso performer,
Right.
but it's another level entirely to actively champion and collaborate with living composers to expand the very repertoire of your instrument.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about McAllister's approach to working with composers? And what insights can we glean from this aspect of his career?
Well, McAllister approaches these collaborations with a sense of curiosity and openness. You know, he's not afraid to experiment, to push the boundaries of what the saxophone can do,
Right.
and to really delve into the composer's vision.
Right.
He often talks about how these collaborations are a two-way street. He learns as much from the composers as they learn from him.
Yeah.
He's not just a passive interpreter.
Yeah.
He's an active participant in the creative process, shaping the music with his insights and his unique understanding of the instrument.
So it's like he's building a bridge between the composer's ideas and the sonic possibilities of the saxophone.
Yes.
Helping to translate those ideas into a tangible musical reality.
Precisely. And I think that's one of the reasons why composers are so drawn to working with him.
Yeah.
They know that he's not just going to play the notes.
Right.
He's going to bring something special to the music, something that enhances and elevates their vision.
That's fascinating. It makes me wonder what qualities composers look for in a performer like McAllister.
Yeah.
What makes him such a sought-after collaborator?
Well, beyond his obvious technical mastery of the saxophone,
All right.
composers often cite his musical intelligence, his sensitivity to nuance, and his willingness to take risks. They appreciate his ability to understand their intentions
Right.
and to bring their ideas to life with both precision and passion.
It sounds like he's not just a technician.
No.
He's a true artist, someone who can connect with the music on a deeper level and convey that connection to the audience.
Exactly. And that's what makes him such a compelling performer.
Right.
He's not just playing the notes.
Yeah.
He's telling a story, sharing an emotional experience with the audience.
And that brings us back to McAllister's belief in the saxophone's limitless potential.
Yes.
What do you think he means by that?
Yeah.
And how does his work with composers contribute to realizing that potential?
I think McAllister sees the saxophone as an instrument that is still evolving, still being discovered. It's an instrument with a rich history,
right,
of course, but it also has a vast untapped potential, waiting to be unlocked by composers and performers who are willing to push the boundaries.
So it's not just about mastering the existing repertoire.
Right.
It's about expanding that repertoire, creating new possibilities for the instrument, and challenging our preconceived notions about what the saxophone can do.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes McAllister's work so exciting.
Yeah.
He's not content with the status quo. He's constantly striving to explore new sonic landscapes, to create new sounds, to tell new stories with the saxophone.
It's inspiring to see someone so passionate and dedicated to their craft.
It is.
But I'm curious to know, beyond his collaborations with composers, what other strategies is McAllister employing to champion the saxophone and elevate its status in the music world?
One of the most important things he's doing is inspiring the next generation of saxophonists through his teaching, his master classes, and his outreach programs. He's instilling in young musicians a love for the saxophone and a belief in its limitless potential.
It's like he's creating a ripple effect, spreading his passion and his vision to a whole new generation of musicians.
Exactly. And these young musicians are the future of the instrument.
Right.
They're the ones who will continue to push the boundaries, explore new possibilities, and ensure that the saxophone remains a vital and relevant force in the music world.
It's a beautiful legacy to leave behind. And as we wrap up this deep dive into Timothy McAllister's incredible career, I want to ask you a final question.
Okay.
What is it about McAllister's story that resonates with you the most? What is the one takeaway you would want our listener to remember long after this episode?
What I found truly remarkable is that McAllister embodies the idea that tradition and innovation aren't mutually exclusive. He's deeply respectful of the saxophone's history and legacy.
Right.
Yet he's constantly pushing it forward, expanding its possibilities, and ensuring its relevance for future generations.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that music, like life, is a constant evolution. And it's up to each of us to find our own unique voice within that evolution.
Beautifully said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the incredible career of Timothy McAllister. And for you listening, I hope this inspires you to seek out his music and experience the magic of the saxophone in a whole new light. Perhaps it might even inspire you to pick up an instrument yourself and embark on your own musical journey. After all, as Timothy McAllister shows us, the possibilities are truly limitless.